on digital radio, on the app, on your smart speaker, on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by The Sportscast.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Victor Arocho and Byron Jones. And here's your host, Victor Arocho.
All right. Let's get it going. Live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk, brought to you by The Sportscast. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to The Sportscast on all our channels, YouTube, X, Spotify, iTunes. And we are streaming on your favorite podcast streaming service. Just look up the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. If you like what you hear on the show today, please subscribe, smash the like button on YouTube, and follow us so you can hear all our shows. You can go back to some of our back shows from here for several years ago. So thank you very much. And let's get it going. Mr. Byron Jones, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It is a great day, man. Great day. The weather was perfect right here. It wasn't scorching hot like it's been the last 2 weeks.
What's the weather like then?
Like between like 80 and 90. I could do that, but it was hitting like 95, 103. Yeah, no. We had to cancel the tackle practice for the kids because it's a little bit too hot for them to be out there messing around. So yes, it's been pretty hot the last 2 weeks.
You had to cancel practice because of heat?
Yep.
Oh my God. That's terrible. All right. Let's bring to the stage one of our favorite guests and fellow podcaster with his own show, The Donut Bag. Let's go and give a round for Mr. Joey Toscano. Welcome to the show, Joey.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Now, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Mr. Pittsburgh himself. All right. So, off season's a few things to talk about, but we got some things here put in the chat. There's some funny stuff too that I want to bring up, that I want to talk about. I just recently heard. So we're going to go into that. All righty. Let's go. Byron, a boy dropped out of the race. Eli Manning says he's no longer interested in buying a piece of the NFL Giants. It's just too expensive for me. That's interesting. So, obviously he was getting a group. So I wonder why it's too expensive for him. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's 10%. What was it, 10% of 10 billion they were about?
Yeah, that's a little pricey there. I think it was 8.5 billion or whatever it was. That's a little pricey. Now, I might have to get out of the running too, man, because me and you, we had started a little group, and we was trying to get a little piece of the Giants. But yeah, that's a little pricey for me too.
Yeah, I had to bow out myself. Got a little bit high. Joey, what are your thoughts on that one?
Eli, come on, man. What's going on here?
He's got a group backing him. It's not like it was only him.
Still, there's no thing is too expensive. You have a chance to invest in an NFL franchise, bro. You go for it. The value of those just only go up. It's a great investment.
He also gave. He also had some other points because remember he's got other businesses, the Manning cast and so forth, and by being an owner, it limited him to have interviews with other players. It really, he would have to bow out of the stuff doing what he's doing with his brother. So I hear what you're saying, but that's a lot of money, Joey. You're talking about
that doesn't stop Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a partial owner of the Raiders, and he's supposed to be restricted, and he's not restricted at all. So that's all a bunch of
but he's a sportscaster, so I don't know what I don't know. That's just what I read on that one. You're right. But what did he get in for the Raiders on? Right? I don't know what he. I don't know. I don't know how much he got.
$8 billion.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it's 800. It was like 10% of 8 billion is almost 800. It's almost $1 billion. It's 800 something million dollars. That's a lot of money,
Yeah,
right?
that's a little pricey for me. I had to step out.
Yeah, and remember, Brady. As much as I love Eli, Brady brings a little bit more fanfare to a team, right? But anyhow, that's the deal there. No biggie. Hey, stuff happens. It must be nice to at least. It must be nice to consider buying in.
Well, what's his name still in the running? No, Strahan.
Strahan, yep. Strahan's still in the running. So I'm surprised because I guess Strahan does do a lot. You know what I mean? I just can't imagine that Strahan earned more money than Eli.
No, yeah, but look what Strahan got going on. Everything, TV,
He's in every show.
everything,
Exactly.
everything.
Mhm.
The
Exactly.
$100,000 pyramid, all
Is that your internet or mine?
everything.
Joe, you good?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine. Byron, you're not even traveling. Your internet's got to be good. Feed those geese, man. All right, so let's go. What do we got here? We got, this is interesting. Some personnel prefer Jameis Winston to Russell Wilson. Byron, what's going on there? Come on, man. This is the first time I've heard Winston's name.
Nah, I don't know. I don't that when I saw that I was like, really? I said, so they'd rather have a guy, he's good for the clubhouse, he's that kind of guy, to follow. But I don't think I want to risk, him being the guy when you have Malik Neighbors and all the other issues. We don't need somebody throwing 30 touchdown passes and 30 interceptions. So that'll get everybody fired. Everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is with Winston, he's big. So you put him next to Russell. I mean, Russell looks tiny next to Winston, right? I mean, so sometimes that's got to be impactful. And he's got a gun. It's just, again, his numbers are terrible, man. You know what I mean? He's terrible. I mean, Neighbors will get a lot of touchdowns. So will the other team. And I like Jake Winston. You know what I mean? But Joey, what are your thoughts on that? Is that even possible?
You're forgetting option C. Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart. You know it's going to happen. At some point, one of them is going to get hurt and one of them is going to play between Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. They're going to be bad, and the fans are going to be screaming for Jackson Dart. It's a fait accompli. It's going to happen.
Oh, we'll see. I don't like seeing. I don't like seeing.
If they start screaming for him, Shane and Dave will get fired.
They're going to get fired regardless.
If they start screaming for who?
Jackson Dart.
If they start screaming for Dart, they both getting fired. Both of them.
You think like mid-season they'd get fired?
Nah, probably like bye week. That's a good time to get rid of. Okay. That's like week 14 or whatever it is. Yeah, bye week. Get out of here.
All right, so look, I just looked it up. Yes, there are reports that some individuals within the New York Giants organization prefer Jameis Winston over Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback. The preference stemmed from how the players presented themselves during the visits and the teams before signing. Some felt Winston's potential upside despite his turnover-prone tendencies. That's his entire career. Was more appealing than Wilson's current form and perceived personality traits. Interesting. There's a little bit of more breakdown. Internal disagreement. When the Giants ultimately signed Wilson, some within the organization favored Winston, particularly based on how they perceived the two quarterbacks during the pre-signing process. Winston's potential. Some saw Winston's potential as a higher ceiling potentially because of more capable of explosive plays. Wilson's perception. Wilson's personality has been described as polarizing, with some teammates finding him a positive influence and others not. The Giants, however, seemed willing to overlook any potential personality classes in exchange for a competitive edge. There's something going on there, man. 1 year bridge. Ultimately, Wilson was signed for 1 year within the understanding that he would be a bridge quarterback with, there you go, while rookie Jackson Dart develops. Winston's role was signed a 2-year deal, and is expected to be the backup at least initially. Daboll decision. General Manager Joe Shane and head coach Brian Daboll ultimately made the decision to go with Wilson, likely prioritizing experience and ability potentially to elevate. So, man, this is another report that Wilson's got a personality issue.
Look, I could speak a lot on this because we just had Russell Wilson here in Pittsburgh. And when Russell Wilson comes, let me guess, he came in and he says all the right things and he's complimenting everybody. Is that what he did when he first came to New York?
Yeah,
I love this guy and I love the town. I love these players. Blah, 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 blah. They call it toxic positivity. It's so freaking fake. But he's like that all the time. He's just a ridiculously positive person. And yeah, I can see how that could be polarizing because you're like, dude, shut up, just be real. But that's just how he is. He's a very positive person. But the other side of this is, with the Steelers, he started out great. At one point, the Steelers were 10-3. Everything was awesome. And then it all went to crap. And then there were reports actually put up by him that he clashed with the offensive coordinator, that they weren't getting along. So it could go well or it could be a disaster one way or the other. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes in New York.
Interesting. I mean, because remember, those things came from Denver down to Pittsburgh. Now
even
you're
in Seattle.
He seems like such a nice guy. He was doing all the right things, visiting, doing the stuff in the Giants, going to the Knicks games. But hey, look, if you hear it one time is one thing, but you hear it a couple times, something's got to be there. What are your thoughts, Byron?
I don't get it. Why would you sign? We were talking about this before. Why would you sign Winston and Wilson, and you have the young quarterback? Now, our favorite guy, Tommy DeVito, is probably going to end up on, the practice squad. But for some reason, that just didn't make sense. Two veteran quarterbacks. I don't know if these guys are trying to save the job. Because what they were talking about, was yesterday, as far as Mara wants to see improvement. He doesn't care, if it's, if it goes in the tank, but he doesn't want to see any more planes flying over the stadium. And the usual stuff when he just wants to see improvement. That's what they're talking about the other day. If they show improvement, those two are hanging around. If we're in the tank by Thanksgiving, they're getting fired.
The other thing, maybe I think that they're like you said, they're fighting for the job, which is always a problem, right? But sometimes it can bring out the best, it's pressure. But the other thing is, it could be that, I hate to say it, that they're going to try the 2 quarterback system. You know what I mean? They're gonna go in and out, trying to get explained. They get 2 of you say no. If you're saying no that you don't believe that, you're saying no you don't like it, because there's a difference between liking and not liking it. Because there's no logic, like Byron said, to sign 2 veteran quarterbacks, right? And they're 2 different quarterbacks. It's not like they're the same. Like, one's big, one isn't, right? One can throw the deep ball and throw a lot of touchdowns. The other one, he can, plays is good. Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. So, based on those reports, they may just be pulling in and out, trying to make something happen. But I'm just speculating. I'm just saying that.
I highly doubt they're going to just switch back and forth between quarterbacks. I don't think a team's ever done that, but that just does not work very well. But no, it makes a lot of sense. The Steelers just did this. The Steelers just did this last year. When they got Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. You want as many good quarterbacks as you can, because quarterbacks get hurt. What you don't want is for all your quarterbacks to get hurt and you're down to your 3rd, 4th, 5th string guy and you're trying to win games. That's a recipe for disaster. So it makes sense to have 2 good quarterbacks, and then you have your quarterback for the future in Jackson Dart. That's fine, but how it's going to work and if it's going to work, that is the big question mark.
The one thing about both of them, the same, both of them can throw the deep ball. Dable likes to push the ball down the field because he did it with Josh Allen. He tried to do it with my guy Daniel Jones. That didn't work out. But those two guys throw pretty. They throw pretty deep balls, especially Russell Wilson, and they
Right,
want
but
to push the ball down the field.
I agree with you, except for they throw different types of deep balls. Winston throws a rifle, right? I mean, Winston's ball doesn't. He doesn't. Russell Wilson's known for the balloon ball. Is that right? What do they call it? Balloon ball,
The
right?
moon ball.
The moon ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how he throws it. Russell Wilson throws it deep, and it's a rope. You know what I mean? Those are two different types of deep balls. That's the only reason I'm thinking maybe there's something there that they're gonna go, okay, let's need some action, let's get something down, let's put it in, let's 2 minutes. I mean, I don't know. It just I can't see, guys like either one of those guys. First of all, we know that Russell's gonna start. I can't see Winston just not wanting to play at all, right? Every team he's gone to, he's played. And not only he's played, he's done pretty well, and then the interceptions come.
Well, don't be surprised.
He did okay with the Browns.
Well, don't be surprised if he ends up with New Orleans Saints. If they trade him at some point in time to the Saints, because the Saints are just they're a little light in the quarterback position.
And that wouldn't be a bad move. We get something. It's funny. We're now getting something for people that are a lot at a different level than what we paid for compared to the two guys that we let go. Right. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. But they do throw two different types of deep balls. Would you agree with that, Joey?
Oh, yeah. And Wilson throws a great deep ball. When he does, it's either with Russell Wilson, it's either dink or moon ball. There's nothing in the middle. There's no intermediate passes. It's either check down or the deep ball. But he's very good at the deep ball.
Push it down the field.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a guy you were talking about, right? This guy has speed, right? Byron, you talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Jalen Hyatt said he added 20 pounds this offseason. Thanks, Phil. So off season, after a difficult last year, isn't that guy you said had speed and he added some weight?
He's the one. He was the top receiver, in Tennessee. He won the Blendikoff award, coming out of college. And when he first came out, I think it might have been a Dallas Cowboy scout or somebody said the only route that he could run is a go route. That's it. And he was so wide open when he played in Tennessee. He looked like he was a world beater. But once you get at this level, if he's 100, I don't know how big he is, but 165 pounds or 170 pounds, he's getting pushed around. And there was a lot of times, when he was going down the field, that he was getting pushed out of bounds, or he just wasn't physical at all. And then he ended up in a doghouse, maybe because of his attitude, whatever he had going on. But I'm happy for the kid that if he put 20 pounds on, and he'd be able to withstand these defensive backs that are that were jacking him up. So hopefully it works, and the speed that he has, it'll be an asset with the Giants this year.
He's only 23 years old.
Yeah, he's a young guy. Yeah,
and this is his third season. I mean, he played at 20.
Yeah,
and he's they're saying it that they're expecting him to have a breakout year. The guy is 23 years old. He added 20 pounds. He's 6 foot. So if he added 20 pounds, is that because right now they're putting him at 6 foot 185? Are you saying he was 6 foot 165?
Probably.
Man, that's tiny.
That's a little light.
That's like that. Like I'm 6 foot. I don't think I can get down to 185. My son's 165. But he what was his 40 time? You said he runs a 4.4, right? But he said while some expected him to run faster, potentially in the 4.2, 4.3, his official time was still considered strong performance, ranking him 6th amongst wide receivers. So he's got speed, like you said.
Yeah. But his problem was, he thought, coming to the NFL that, hey, I'm gonna run a go route, I'm gonna outrun everybody. No, it don't work like that. Everybody runs 4.4, 4.3.
At 165, they the deep back in the NFL that were just smacking them out of bounds. I mean, it's 165 pounds.
Oh, the Washington Commanders have one. They cut him too. Emmanuel Forbes. He was about 160 pounds, and I think he lasted maybe a year or two with the Commanders. That was it. He was tiny. He was light.
165, man. You get hit, that's gonna hurt. 185.
Not forget that.
You're pretty solid, right? 20.
Yeah,
Now I see. Remember when you mentioned this a couple weeks ago? You said he added pounds. Is that going to slow him down? Now I see why it won't slow him down. I think if anything, it could even make him faster because now he's got some muscle, right? 6 foot 185. I mean, I played at 6 foot 197, right? And was kind of looked thin, but 6 foot 185. If he put on 20 pounds of muscle, he'd be fine. He shouldn't slow his speed down because he was too light. You know what I mean?
Got to get off the line. You got to be able to get off the line.
Exactly. And you got to be able to handle it when a receiver's bumping you. You know what I mean? Because at that lightweight, you just got to lightly push him as you're running with him. You're still hitting him, right? We're taught to run in stride, and while we're running, hit you when your hand's coming down. All righty, let's go. Byron, talk about this linebacker, Mekhi McFadden, named New York Giants' most promising building block. What are your thoughts on that? That's another defensive player that's not one of our main guys.
Linebacker, he played well, the last, 2 years, that he's been with the Giants. He's a good run stopper. He fills the holes like he's supposed to. But they have another kid, that got Marisol. He was a rookie last year that played very well too. But McFadden and Okereke, those two together, that's a pretty good, linebacker core. But we'll see. The only thing with him, he got hurt a lot. He's been hurt, nicked up a little bit, not on the field. That's why the other kid, the rookie, got a chance to play as much. But yeah, he's a very good player. Expecting great things this year from him.
Interesting. Well, man, look, based on what we were talking about last week or a couple weeks ago, one of our shows, we were talking about how well, we had all three of those players on the field. If this guy's stepping up, our defense is you said our cornerbacks, our defensive backs are picking up. Our defense is starting to round out, right? And that's Giants. History of Giants is playing defense. You got to play defense, right? We play defense, we're good, right? And just have decent, enough offense to win the game. So I'm happy with what I'm hearing defensively, right? So, Byron, your prediction of winning the conference is getting a little closer there, right?
That's right, man. I'm gonna stick to my guns. They're gonna win. They're gonna win the division. They're gonna win the division. Yes, I'm gonna stick to my guns.
The Giants. Yes,
the Giants.
Yeah. Yes. You picked, but you
talking about the San Francisco Giants in baseball. What are we talking about here?
No, he's talking about the New York football Giants.
New York football Giants are gonna rise to the top.
Well, remember, no one's ever won it twice, so I picked Washington. Joey, I think you picked Philly.
I picked Dallas, actually.
Oh, yes, right.
Which is equally silly.
Yeah, you picked Dallas. That's right. You did pick Dallas. That's what we remember. Okay. I also warned you. Don't say that shit on my. Don't say that on my show again. That's what I said to you last time.
I know.
Oh my God, that's funny. All right, here we go. What's going on? This is your boy right here, Byron. Dolphins are training a conditional 2026 pick to the New York Giants as for 2027 7th round pick and Darren Waller. And isn't Darren Waller one of the guys you were like just? He ain't doing it. He's not doing anything. Wasn't he married and divorced real quick?
Yeah, from a basketball player. Yeah.
Oh, he was married. If I'm not mistaken, he was married to one of my favorite players, Kelsey Plum. Let me check that out. I like her.
They said with him, he said the reason why he checked out. They said the reason why he checked out. Well, he said it. The reason why he checked out is because they were playing somebody, and they had him running a fullback play. Coming in the block like a fullback, and that's when he knew that he was done. At that point in time,
he said, "What am I doing with my life?"
Yeah, you making money,
Giants
man.
broke
Block
him.
that guy. That's not hard to do.
Let me see who he was with a lot of teams.
The what?
His rap career.
Yeah, I guess that didn't take off the way he wanted to. He can go rap
Yeah.
down there. Where do you go? Miami. He can go down to Miami and rap down there, wherever he's going.
Yeah, he could go to Pitbull or DJ Khaled. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
married to Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum I like her, man. She's smoking basketball player. Have you seen this girl play? She's lefty.
Yeah.
She can ball.
You know what she could do also? She could throw a good football. She threw I think it was like a t-shirt toss or something like that. And from like half court, she threw it all the way in the upper deck like a perfect spiral. It was
Really? Really?
Wow.
Yeah, now I just like her even more. I like Kelsey Plum, boy. Let me tell you, there's no confusion there. She's with the LA Sparks now. She put up 37 points in her debut. She made a record for the highest points for someone on their for their first team. So she's a baller, man. Let's see where she could. Yeah, I like Kelsey Plum. They're playing down here. I like Kelsey Plum. Let's just see it that way. All right, she's a baller, Byron. You gotta check her out. All right, let's go. What we got here? We got the kid. Here you go. Just for you, Joe. No. Bang. Steelers are trading safety Mekhi Fitzpatrick to the. What's going on with the Dolphins? The Dolphins are getting everybody in a deal for Jalen Ramsey. Is that happening, Joey?
Not only that, but the Steelers are getting tight end Jonnu Smith.
Also, they're getting the tight end. Didn't we say they needed a tight end?
They do.
Right? Yes, they need another receiver.
Yeah. Well, they need a receiver, and maybe Jonnu Smith will be that second receiver. I don't know. It was a big surprise. Minkah Fitzpatrick was one of those players that was like a cornerstone player on that defense, but really in the last couple of years he hasn't done much. They just put him out in deep center field to prevent the long ball, but he hasn't really done anything else, and it's kind of a mystery what's going on there. But yeah, it was still a surprise because they thought he was like a major piece of that defense. But Jalen Ramsey, he's a little bit older, but he still might be one of the top cornerbacks in the league. So I think it's a good deal for both teams.
He hasn't been happy with the Dolphins for a while. So what's up, Byron?
Okay, this is a Joey one. I just want to know if this is true. Okay, you had Mika, Fitzpatrick, trade him. Okay, he plays safety. Is it true that Jalen Ramsey is also going to rotate over in the safety as well?
Maybe. They're not sure exactly how that's all going to work. Either Ramsey will play in the slot or he'll be a nickel back or something like that because really they play in the nickel a lot anyway. So because they already have Joey Porter Jr. as one cornerback and they just got Darius Slay. He's another cornerback. So yeah, where exactly is Jalen Ramsey going to be? They said they're going to have all three of them out there all the time. So not exactly sure. He'll probably be a nickelback or a slot or something like that, but they will all be out there. And then somebody else will play safety.
Well, look, Go ahead, Byron.
Darius Slay is he's like toward the end of really the end of his career because if he wasn't, he'd still be with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Exactly.
So they're kind of pushing him out there, expecting him to be, I guess, the number 2. Porter's gonna be the 1, he's gonna be the 2. But it's just weird, the whole thing.
But remember, guys, it's been normal where cornerbacks later in their career have moved over to safety.
Yeah, but
it's not unusual.
Yeah, but you don't trade. You already had a safety, but you're going to trade him to take this guy who has not played safety and try to put him there. That was just.
But they kind of had to because Ramsey's making about $20 million or so around there, and Minkah Fitzpatrick's making around $20 million too. So they kind of had to, trade for each other to make the money work.
Yeah.
It was still a surprise. It was nobody thought that Minkah Fitzpatrick was even being thought of being traded. So it was a pretty big shock.
Sorry, guys. I got some of my neighbors here. Yeah, like I said, just it's normal, right? If you still can play, moving over to safety, you're not covering those, 165-pound fast receivers.
Because he's a big corner. He's a big corner, but I think he's like
Right.
6'2" or somewhere in that
Who?
range.
Who?
Ramsey. He's not a little. He's a big corner.
Right, but my
Yeah.
point being is, you also, you do tend to see you're going to slow down as you get older, and the fact that you're big is not a bad safety. Is not a bad position to play for a big corner, right? It's better transition. You want a bigger safety, right? You don't want a small safety. That bigger safety, he's coming up, filling up for the linebackers. He is placing some hits. I mean, one of my favorite was Steve Atwater. That boy, that was a big guy.
Yeah.
He was. I saw him in person. That guy had muscles on his ears. I mean, he was. I could not imagine him coming up, filling in. Oh my God! I remember back then they were just lighting it up. There was no worry about helmet to helmet. There was nothing. I mean, he was massive.
Joey Browner was another one with Minnesota, the Vikings. He was big safety. He was taller than I was. He was about 6'4", 6'5".
Hold on, let me see.
Joey Browner light you up too back in the day.
He was Steve Atwater. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get something for Steve Atwater. Man, I remember seeing him in Atlanta, and that was just a big. That was a big man. He played for Denver his whole career.
University of Arkansas Razorback.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Interceptions. Here's a number. He had 24 interceptions, but he hit the ball. He hit it hard, man. All right, let's get going here. Oh man, I can't hear. Yeah, but they move him over. That's okay. But you guys got to do something defensively because you guys did not play well last year, Joey. Defensively, I was disappointing. You know what I mean? We said this before. You got to do something. It was disappointing. You're going to end up paying T.J. Watts, which you should, but he didn't play as well as he should have, in my opinion. Right? Especially if you were trying to go for another re-signing.
The Steelers have one of the most expensive defenses in the league, and they don't deliver. They're okay, but when it counts, they fall apart, especially in the playoffs. And that's the major thing in Pittsburgh is we're sick and tired of just making the playoffs and then getting blown out. There's desperation to win a playoff game.
They were playing bad though, just even before the playoffs though.
Oh yeah, they had a 5-game losing streak. Yeah,
but defense, you can blame whoever you want as a quarterback, but remember we kept kind of like we kept making comments that that fourth quarter team was led by a defense, right? And so hopefully something happens this year, but I don't know. I mean, I think there's a problem there. I mean, what's the boots on the ground say? What do you want to do with Tomlin? I mean, it's one of those be careful what you ask for, right? And because you may see the other side, because everybody loves Tomlin throughout the whole, or like pretty much football nation. I don't think you can think you find someone can say something bad about Tomlin, right? But the problem is that what are you going to get afterwards? But then again, you can look at the Eagles. They didn't maybe get a sustainable coach, but they've been in playoffs. They've been in Super Bowls, without Andy Reid. And then Andy Reid goes to Kansas City and makes Kansas City what they are today, right? So, I want to see Tomlin's success. I'd like to see Tomlin win another Super Bowl because I think a guy like Tomlin having only one Super Bowl ring, I think doesn't really
it doesn't sit well. He deserves more because he's a Hall of Fame coach.
He's a higher expectations from. What do you think about that, Byron? I mean, he's still going to be a great coach, but don't you think a guy like Tomlin, so young, been around, has been so successful, he needs at least another another Super Bowl could kind of like solidify that name and that legacy. And it doesn't have to be with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but he's going to go to Hall of Fame regardless.
Oh, there's no doubt.
That's like automatic with that. But okay, Joey. Okay, are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to be happy with you got Aaron Rodgers, the receiver, hopefully they're going to pay Cheaty Watt. Are you guys going to be happy with them going 10-7 and then go to playoffs? Win one playoff game, and then we know that Aaron Rodgers is going to rise off into the sunset. Would you be happy with that?
Yes. If they made the playoffs, won a playoff game, the season would be a success. That's really all we want is just win a playoff game. They haven't won a playoff game in God, it's been many, many years now. It's ridiculous. Keep in mind, yeah, the Aaron Rodgers thing is just for this year. Same thing with Russell Wilson last year. That was just a 1-year thing. This year, just a 1-year thing. Next year is the year they get their franchise quarterback. So really, they're just in a holding pattern until next year, and they think next year is the year that they're going to get their rookie quarterback, and he's going to be awesome, and then they're going to take off. So right now, they're just in a holding pattern. They're just waiting to get that quarterback.
But in the whole,
just the quarterback away.
But make sure I'm clear, in a holding pattern with still the expectation to win one playoff game.
Yes.
Okay. How do you expect to get your quarterback?
That's a great question.
What are the moves you're going to make? You're not going to get in. You're not going to be a high enough draft. You got to do your things to get up there. But how do you expect to get that quarterback if you make the playoffs and win one playoff game? Like, tell me what are the moves? Because you got to get rid of some. You got to make moves to get in line to pick a quarterback. Where do you see the moves take place?
So let's say they do, like you said, do well, make the playoffs, win a playoff game. They're drafting probably in the mid-20s. You don't get a quarterback in the mid-20s. Now, however, they have about 12 draft picks next year. They have a bunch of comp picks. They have a bunch of draft picks next year. So what they're thinking of doing is moving up with all those draft picks. They're going to trade up to get that quarterback probably around the like 10 to 15 range.
Byron?
They got 3 picks in the third round. Yeah, that's a lot of capital. 12 picks, 3 in the third round.
They would probably use a 2027 first round pick. So they would probably trade 2 first round picks to get that player. But remember, the draft is in Pittsburgh. So the Steelers want to make a splash in their own hometown to get their franchise quarterback that's going to save the franchise, and we're all going to live happily ever after. It's a storybook ending.
And you're going to draft Drew Allard from Penn State, Pennsylvania kid.
It's possible. Maybe the Manning. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, there's supposed to be a lot of good quarterbacks next year.
Yeah, I think. All right, so there's a kid from Clemson, Cade Klubik, is the number 1 ranked quarterback, I think.
Yeah, and there's one I think in LSU, Sellers or something like that.
Nussmeier or something like that, I think.
There's also him. Yeah. There's supposed to be like 6 or 7 good quarterbacks next year.
All right, so look, this is what I got. You guys hit it on the neck. To move up in the 2026 NFL draft and secure a quarterback, the Steelers would likely need to trade multiple draft picks, potentially including future first-round picks and possibly some current players to a team selecting earlier. The Steelers are expected to have a strong hand in 2026 due to accumulating draft capital and reportedly targeting a quarterback in the 2026 draft, which will be held in Pittsburgh, which would cause extra motivation for the team to make a splash. How more detailed they might do it, accumulated draft cap. The Steelers have been strategically accumulating draft picks, including compensatory picks to position themselves for a strong 2026 pick. So I don't want to keep going on, but you guys hit it on the nail, right? But it's still got to go well for them this year, right? And who's your quarterback right now?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that's right. Keep forgetting about that. Hey, you know,
Never know. He might be
he-
good.
He can get you that one round. That one round, he can give you that. You can get it if he can get you the quarter. If you can get Aaron Rodgers to the playoffs, he can win one playoff game. There's no confusion there. Byron, Byron. All I'm saying is they make it to the playoffs, right? And they're in the first round, and you have Aaron Rodgers behind. Okay, I'll put him up against anybody in the playoffs. He's got to get there first of all. He's got to be healthy.
He gotta get there, and he gotta be
Let's
healthy.
make the assumption that he gets there, and if he gets there, he's healthy. You can't say he got there and not be healthy. It's not gonna happen unless he gets knocked out in the last game of the season.
Is that offensive line going to hold up for him? That's another question.
That is the big question. They spent
out,
a first round draft pick 2
Hold
years in
on.
a row on tackles.
Hold on a second. Okay, but you gotta please answer the question in the light of the narrative we're trying to make. Are you saying they gotta hold which is it? They gotta hold up in the playoffs or they gotta hold up just to get in the playoffs?
They got to hold up just to get in the playoffs.
Okay, but that's not what's the question. The
I
question
don't care
was,
what it. I'm giving my answer.
okay, that's not your answer. This is the
That's
question.
my answer.
Yeah, okay, no. Your answer is if they hold up, will they get the playoffs? That I agree.
Right.
That wasn't it. Let's assume they hold up and they get to the first round of the playoffs. I put my money on Aaron Rodgers has a higher than 50% chance of winning at least one playoff game.
Is he going to beat Josh Allen in Buffalo if they have to go to Buffalo?
Well, that's the thing. They have to beat either Josh Allen or Mahomes
or
Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. I mean, the AFC is stacked.
I get it.
Hey, it's happened before. People get hurt.
Time out. No. But don't tell me that he can't do it. He can. Patrick Mahomes, I would probably keep him out of that. But I have no qualms with him going up against Josh Allen. I got no problem with him going up with Lamar Jackson. I have no problem with him going up against Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's the one who got worried about his line more than Pittsburgh.
Justin Herbert. Don't forget him.
I'll put up Aaron Rodgers against Justin Herbert. And, I like all those quarterbacks. I've never said anything bad about those quarterbacks. But you get Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, I'll put him up against any quarterback with a chance to win a playoff game. It's not like, hey, if, the Giants get to the playoffs and Jameson's behind there. I ain't that confident. Okay. Jackson, I don't care who it is. But Aaron Rodgers, you get him to the playoffs, you got a better than 50% chance of winning that game. I don't care who he's playing. The only one I think would be the hardest would be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is and then Joe Burrows would be a second. Because Joe Burrows is a player once it comes to playoffs, right?
I'm gonna be a hater.
But those other guys, I got no problem with. But Lamar Jackson always bombs in the playoffs. Josh Allen's up and down in the playoffs. I mean, come on. Those guys should have went further, both of them. Right? And Pittsburgh dominates Lamar during the season. So Pittsburgh has no problem playing against Lamar. Lamar Jackson, that's a wash, right? Because you're playing a division guy, and you're used to winning and losing against them. So you got to put that one out. Now you got Buffalo. You got your other ones, a little bit different.
A lot of teams. How many Super Bowls how many has he won? Aaron Rodgers.
One.
Just throw that out.
One.
Okay.
That's one. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so how many has Josh Allen won?
None.
I'm just saying. How many has Lamar Jackson won?
None.
Okay, I'm just saying. Who's the other one? How many Joe Burrow won?
How long has Aaron Rodgers
How many Joe Burrow won? That was the question.
He's been in a Super Bowl.
None.
But he's been in one.
That's it. Aaron Rodgers has been in a couple.
How many years Aaron Rodgers been playing? About 20 years, right? And he's been in one. He's won one.
He's won one. Years. Yeah. Okay.
One.
Yes. Right. How many playoff games has he won? A lot.
Okay, but he still won. He still won one Super Bowl.
I got it, but I mean, you're asking, the most disappointing guy of all those quarterbacks is probably Lamar Jackson.
Aaron Rodgers is 12-10 in the playoffs in his career.
Huh.
He's 12-10. Okay, he still won 12 playoff games. I don't care. That means 20. He's been in 20
years.
Okay, so that means he's been in 20 years. He's been in 22. He's played 22 playoff games. That's a lot of playoff games. That's still a lot of playoff games. That means he got his team there.
One Super Bowl.
12. Listen to me. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Byron, you make fun of guys who've had only one. We're going to talk to the next guy next, right? You make fun of guys. He's only won one playoff game. You know who that quarterback is that we're going to talk about? How many times have you mentioned he's only won one playoff game? The guy, okay? Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, one
playoff game. And he's made more than Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Good agent.
Okay. Good agent. He's got the greatest age. Okay. So I'm just saying 12 playoff games. Joe, he's 12-10. Not still above 50%. But we're asking for one playoff win. All I'm saying, get him into the playoffs. I believe he can win that game. He's going to want to win it. Because if he's going to leave winning one playoff game.
Remember, the Steelers aren't asking Aaron Rodgers to carry the team on his back. They're just asking him to have a pretty good offense and have the defense be the thing that drives the team. So that's
how it was supposed to be with the quarterbacks last year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
All right. So let's speak about Byron's favorite agent and quarterback. Falcons, Kirk Cousins revealed on Netflix quarterback that he felt misled by the organization when they drafted Michael Penix last year. What are your thoughts on that, Joey?
Well, he was. I mean, I think he said there's no way he would have signed with Atlanta if he knew they were going to draft a quarterback. And yeah, but hey, it's a business. Kirk Cousins, regardless, is going to be was just going to be a temporary thing. He's old, and he was just going to be around for a little while also. And they thought they could get their franchise quarterback. So I'm sure that wasn't the plan to get Penix, but then plans change. And hey, sorry, feelings get hurt. Sorry, buddy, you're still making your money. So go get another haircut.
Mm-hmm. Byron, what do you think about that?
The same thing. I guess the organization doesn't have to tell you everything, as far as their plans. Maybe they did have a plan that if, a quarterback was there, they're going to take him and do like, the Green Bay Packers do and have that veteran guy and the other guy sitting waiting 2 or 3 years, to play. But, these quarterbacks are being paid so much money. You figure, he's got $40 million a year, whatever he's getting. That's a lot of money, man, to have the guy sitting on the sideline. But he still maybe got a couple more years. They should have, if anything, should have traded him or something. And, get 5th, 6th, 7th round pick or something.
And keep in mind, Cousins started the year and he was playing pretty well. Then he got hurt and he was absolutely horrible. He became one of the worst quarterbacks in the league because he had some kind of injury, obviously, that was really messing him up. And he was playing so bad, they had no choice but to put Penix in. So really, Kirk Cousins brought this on himself.
Well, look at this. He's complaining, but I'm going to give two sides, all right? So he due to proportion 50 million. I don't understand. Here's a breakdown kind of detail. Guaranteed money. Oh my God, he's made so much money because of the contract. I'm just trying to figure out the other side. How much did he Kirk Cousins? I'm trying to say, okay, here. He made 21 million, 40 million, 30 million with the Vikings, and then 62 million with the Falcons. So what are you complaining about? That's my argument, right? Now, the other side of the game is like, look, I would have stayed, he was making money, but he made more money signing with the Falcons, right? Wasn't that it was a bigger contract than he had with the Vikings? So if he didn't go there, he wouldn't have gotten that bigger money. He also didn't go there. He's got his health. So shoot, I'd rather take my health and 40 million.
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
doesn't get hit. Heck, I'll take that
Right.
deal.
And the other thing is, he's like, Kenny liked Minnesota. He liked everything there. And remember, in his point, and I think it's his fault too, but I think the Viking systems was better than the Atlanta system. So he's better off playing. He was better off playing in Minnesota. But dude, you got $100 million guaranteed money.
Well, it helped that he had Jefferson to throw to, and Addison, and all those guys.
Exactly.
So yeah, he had a lot of weapons in Minnesota.
Yeah, but timeout. Penix did pretty well with
Oh, yeah.
Atlanta, and he didn't have those quarterbacks, those wide receivers.
They got a good that running back, Bijan Robinson. He's pretty good.
Right.
You know.
All right. Here's something that I wanted to bring up that was kind of funny. This is the first time, and this is one of my favorite players, but I think now he's backpedaling. All right. Nope, it's the wrong one. Sorry. Deion Sanders says college football needs a salary cap. Okay. So what he's saying is, with the NIL, you could have a player. He's like, look, you should, like, a player is at this level, should be getting this amount of money. If a player is at this level, he goes, you could have a player that's not that good of a player, that's okay, and leaves you to go to another team and make $500,000. Now you can't get the players. And all the sports commentators are making the argument, well, you used it to your advantage. Remember when Nick Saban complained about it, you were the quickest one to say, hey, this is part of the game, And I think they were also saying that you had one of the two best players in college football with Shador and Hunter. Yeah, probably the most impactful player in Hunter. What would have happened if you didn't pay him? What are your thoughts on that? A salary cap in college football? Because I know, Byron, you have some strong opinions about NIL.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird, the way, the money that they're throwing out. It's going to be like that. You're going to have the have, and you're going to have the have-nots. You're going to have the schools that can afford, with the whatever, the alumni that they have about to give up all this money. Then you're going to have everybody else. Like, where I went to school, Tulsa. I guarantee you at Tulsa, they're not throwing away, money the way at these other schools. They're never going to be able to compete because it's just so much money, involved. And, these kids, they don't think, well, let me get mine right now. Let me get my money right now. They're not worried about, let me play with this guy for 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever, college. And it's starting to be just a mess where these guys are just jumping to different teams. They're not. It's not even like a team. It's just like, well, let me go get mine next. I just don't like that at all.
Remember, Byron, when we played also, like, if you transferred, you had to sit out a year.
Yeah, I did.
You lost a year. Like, you couldn't even make it back. You lost a year. You were redshirt. It was hard. Now, yeah. So I think that But where I wanted to bring the narrative up, Joyce, what you're talking is I agree with what you're saying, Byron. It's the irony that Deion is saying it now, that his two best players are now in the NFL. That's
only
where
saying
my problem was.
Out on some
remember, it was a battle. Him and Saban are friends, but he was all NIL in, and Saban was all NIL out. Right? And I like Deion. But now he's just like, and I think maybe he's got some logic, but the logic now fits to his liking at this point. You know what I mean? So anyhow, that's the deal there. We'll see what happens. That NIL is going to get money. And I agree with what you're saying, Byron. I think it's going to be the has and the have-nots, and it's just going to be, it's the playoffs become nil at this point, right?
But my last thing about that. So, okay, you go into transfer portal. So what happens to those kids that don't get picked up by anybody? What happens to them? You don't never hear anything, as far. And I think it's like a couple thousand or whatever, go in the portal. What happened to those kids? It's not like they can go back to the other school that they left because they left. What happened?
So that's an interesting point, but I never looked at it that way. So help me out here, because I don't really understand. I know how to transfer. I don't understand entering the transfer portal right now. So let's say I'm playing for Tulsa, right? And now I wanna go and play for another team, right? What do I need to do to say I'm going into the transfer portal? How does that work?
You go into whatever portal, and your name is in there, and then other teams can come. Other schools. Hey, are he like kind of like when you're first recruited? All right, well, he's the number one cornerback, on the transfer portal list. All right, or 2, 3, and it's all in order. As far as with the different positions, and these teams go in there and cherry pick. The number one guy here, the number 2 guy here, the number 3 guy here. But what about everybody else that does not get picked? I'm going to look into that. But right now, I don't know. Do they go back to the school that they were at, or are they sort of like in limbo where they have nowhere to go?
That's the problem. There's no rules. That's the problem. There's even in the NFL, there's like a rookie. There's rules to keep the rookie salaries down, but not in college football. They just do whatever they want. It's just like the Wild West right now. They need regulation. They need some kind of rules. I mean, Dion's right. Yeah, he is a hypocrite, but he is right. They just need some kind of rules. I think there is. I think they're thinking of putting a salary cap of like 20.5 million, which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, but still. It's just sad what college football has become. It's basically become like you could just buy a championship.
Well, the kid at Michigan, he's getting $14 million. The quarterback, the 5-star that they got, they hijacked from LSU. They go to Michigan. He got like $14 million. Crazy. And ain't played a snap.
Byron, here's the breakdown. Once you go into the detailed breakdown, you go in a portal. You got a loss of a scholarship if you don't get picked up. You have a loss of a roster spot, and you have to fund your college yourself. There's limited options. Athletes who don't find a new program may need to consider options like transferring to a lower division, right? NAIA or junior college, or potentially ending their athletic career. Financial feasibility. Transferring can also be financially complicated process. So they got a lot of risk. Like you better, like you said there's thousands of them. I think that's hurting. That portal's hurting kids who got inflated heads, inflated agents. You know what I mean? Parents. It's good for the top, the cream of the crop. It's not so good for the bottom of the crop.
Plus, there's been reports of players being promised to be paid all these millions of dollars and then not getting paid. There needs to be some kind of regulation. There needs to be rules here. It's getting out of control.
All right, well, let's move on to that. But the irony in my thing was I couldn't believe Deion Sanders came out and said that now, because I remember the battle between him and Saban, and they're in the same commercial together, in the Aflac commercials, right? So I'm like, huh? They're not the same age.
No, they say they probably got the same agent.
Okay, all right. So this is one that Byron, you should like this one. What is going on with Mike Brown as head coach of the Knicks? Yeah, I literally think nobody wanted that. I think nobody wanted that job.
Let's see, they tried to poach 5 other coaches from 5 other teams.
Everybody turned them down.
Dawn Staley. They went to Dawn Staley to see if she probably would leave South Carolina to be the first. Yeah, to be the first woman head coach, and she probably said, "I'm making more money here in South Carolina. Why would I go do that?" And then,
no, she'd make more money. Wait a second, she'd make more money in the NBA with the Knicks.
What? I don't know. She'd probably make a pretty good penny in South Carolina.
Sam, just all right. Keep going. Okay, let's keep going.
And then to go, I think it's dragged on about a month, and to go all the way around in a circle, to go back to this guy. It is what it is.
All right. And Joey, what do you think?
So let me get this straight. The Knicks finally get some success, and they fire their coach. I still don't understand that. What are we doing here? You should be happy you got any success at all. They're like almost like the Steelers. Like you won a playoff game. Congratulations. You should be happy. You should build on that. Like, no, get rid of them. Let's start over. Like,
Byron.
It's a mess.
So we're clear. Dawn Staley gets paid $4 million a year. Mike Brown is getting paid 10.
Does he deserve it though?
That wasn't the question. You say you think that she'll make more playing where she's playing than putting the Knicks. So one, she would make more. I just don't think that's a good position, especially what Joey just said. You had a coach who's been their best coach in 25 years, and you fired the guy. And you fired him based on the players. I think Dawn Staley's smart. She's going to win more championships there. I think coaching college, you know what? You got young kids. They're going to come to you. She's got winning. Like, I don't think college basketball has the transfer portals problem as much as football because, you know, especially in women's basketball, because women's basketball they have a tendency to play 4 years. Men, they can play one and done. Where their transfer portal is the NBA. Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the transfer portal, right? But in women's basketball, they're going to play 4 years, and now their goal is to make it to the WNBA, which is what they still don't get paid a lot of money, right? But you know, for a living, it's not bad, and they get to play what they love. But you play 4 years with a coach like Dawn Staley, who's an Olympic champion, an Olympic coach, an NCAA champion. I mean, you know, why would you leave? Like, to me, I always thought the greatest job somebody had was Bobby Bowden, right? His career was at Florida State. He won a national championship. He was always in the running, and he was making a lot of money as a football coach. And in Tallahassee, where everything's cheap, you know what I mean? I mean, everything. And then, you know, there was a report that he used the Florida's government plane more than anyone else except for the lieutenant governor of the state, which the school, Florida, Miami, they were competing against back when they were all good, right? They were complaining because he had an unfair competitive advantage. He had a plane to take them, you know, on the state's dime. So, but again, at Dawn Staley, I just think, you know, I'd like to see, you know, a woman coach in the NBA. I think there's going to be one, isn't there? The Indiana Pacers coach, they have a woman defensive coach. She coached. She was the defensive coach for the Indiana Pacers right now. She's not the head coach, but she's the defensive coach at NBA. I think Carolina is where Dawn Staley loves. I think, you know, look at Gino Auriemma. He's never left.
Why should he?
Exactly.
I wouldn't either. You know, it's like, you know, we can keep going around. Think about it. I think players and coaches lose themselves. I'd rather be in a place where I'm beloved, right, than go to another place for just something else, right? Think about it. Look at we were talking about Dawn Staley over there, Gino Auriemma. I mean, tell me Gino Auriemma is not like owns Connecticut, and then because of that, he's kind of got like some of the tri-state area, right? I mean, he's got the life in Connecticut. Connecticut's expensive, but I'm sure he plays pretty well. Dawn Staley, South Carolina is beautiful. She owns South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why bother? You know, and I think the dumbest move, in my opinion, right? Speaking of being a staple, was the guy that went to shoot. What the heck is his name? I can't think. I'm so tired. He went to Milwaukee and then got hurt. Shoot.
But Lillard?
Lillard. That was the worst move he could have ever made. Now he went there, and Giannis wants out. And he was who? They released, right? But he was beloved in Portland. Even though they didn't go any further, they loved him. He wanted to go somewhere else. He's the one who wanted to go somewhere else. That was a terrible move.
I guess he'd be going back to Portland.
No, and it's like Kawhi. Kawhi should have stayed in Toronto. Pretty much Canada. Did you know that Kawhi, they were trying to keep in Canada? They gave him a free house. He had free meals in any restaurant in the country of Canada. And he was already well known in the United States. So he had two countries.
Well, they paying taxes in both states, though. I mean, both countries.
That's a good point.
That's a lot of taxes.
That's a good point. Well, you pay a lot. He went to LA. So LA, you're paying a lot of taxes. And he came from before that. He was in San Antonio, right? So when he was in San Antonio, he paid no state income tax.
There you go.
So he went to LA paying a lot of taxes. We got paid a lot of money. So anyhow, I just don't think anybody, I can't say I wouldn't want that job because I'm not at that level. But my point being is it looks like a lot of coaches didn't want that job. I mean, I think they were struggling, and I think they're going to have a tough time with this guy. All right. And speaking of him, Stephen A. Smith's been a little quiet. I looked at his show today. He was kind of not there. And, the NBA has don't want him back next year for pre and post game NBA finals.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't want him back because they thought I personally liked what Stephen A. Smith has done. I started not liking him as much. I do kind of enjoy the show, but I think the money's gotten to his head. I mean, he got a $100 million contract.
Yeah, I guess he makes.
He wants to run for president.
$100 million.
Okay.
I keep hearing that. That's just stupid.
Losing his mind.
So what happened was, if you don't know what happened was, Byron, he was on the pregame, postgame, and he did his normal tyrant where it became like the Stephen A. show instead of the NBA post game, right? I loved the TNT team with Shaq, Barkley, Ernie, and Kenny the Jet Smith. That is my favorite cast. I don't know about you guys. You guys watch any of that?
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
They're my favorite. They are funny. They're good. They know their stuff. So Stephen A. Smith got put in his place by the GM from the Golden State. He goes, you don't have to yell. You yelling is not going to make your point any more valid. Literally,
it doesn't work like that.
Right? And he just kept going, and it was about him, and he was yelling. I think he was just trying to use what made him successful to some degree on First Take, right? And he was trying to transfer that same way over to the NBA, which is a different stage. You know what I mean? And anyhow, I brought that up because we talk about the Knicks and stuff. It's just I was trying to look up because I went to go see it this morning, and he wasn't on the show. And we got to start wrapping this up because I'm burnt. LeBron James.
One more thing. Last thing. Tim Rooney, the nephew of one of Rooney, he passed away. He was the vice president of development with the Giants.
And the Steelers.
Yeah, and the Steelers, yeah.
He was head of scouting with the Steelers in the 70s when they won all those Super Bowls, and then he went to the Giants.
Yeah.
Again, that's blessings, prayers to the family. Again, that's an interesting dinner table with those two families. With those two families there. And then what do you think? LeBron picks up $52 million option, 1 year, $52 million.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Look, he's got Luka in the big man. LeBron, you got to give him credit for his age. He's an impressive ball player. Hall of Fame game.
Not better than Michael Jordan.
Right. I don't think so. I think Michael Jordan is the best. Who do you think? Who would you take as give me your top 5 basketball player, NBA or whatever you can get to? 5, 3, 4, it don't matter. Byron?
I got Will, number 1.
Interesting. Better than over Michael?
Yep.
All right. Then?
Kareem.
Oh, my God. He's showing his age, Joey.
Come on, man. Kareem. Come on now.
He's showing his age, Joey.
Kareem won in high school, college, NBA. He was a winner. He doesn't get
So did Michael.
No, he wasn't like Kareem in college. He was 3-time national champion.
He left his sophomore year.
Yeah, he won, but and
he hit the game-winning shot as a freshman. Game-winning shot. He said he went from Mike to Michael after that shot.
Kareem was 3-time National Player of the Year, 3-time champion, had a 47-game win streak or whatever he had, there. So yes, Kareem is
All
my
right.
number 2
All
guy.
right. Go ahead. Go ahead, old man. Go ahead. Let's keep going. Who else you got? Bill Russell.
Of course, Bill Russell, 11 championships,
There you
13
go.
years.
He's got like, you ever see the god, like the those cartoons of the gods where they're all bearded and old men and stuff? That's who he's picking for his top 5.
That's right. Let's see.
Yeah, that's 3. Go ahead. Who's 2 more? I mean, you don't even have Michael in there. That's crazy.
John Havlicek, 8
Oh my
championships.
God.
He was a great player, man. Come on, man. I got to give him his due, man. He had 8 championships. That guy.
Santiago, you got to cut this. You got to
Nobody
cut
ever
this clip
talked
for
about John
Byron.
Havlicek, man. He was a great player his whole career. All right, then
Byron,
Michael Jordan, number 5. Michael Jordan.
Stick to football. Stick to football.
Yeah, I know.
Stick to
John
football.
Havlicek, man. Come on, man. Look it up. Look it up.
The names you made, they're great players, right? But didn't Havlicek shoot the ball underhand?
No, that was Rick Barry, and he's from New Jersey, man. He's from Roselle.
All right, Joe, who's you got top 5?
Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Shaquille O'Neal, baby. I'm going young.
You don't have LeBron in there? Man, I don't know. Okay, so here's mine. I got Michael first, right? I'm torn between LeBron and Kobe, right? Like they're neck and neck right there. So they can alternate second and third, 2 and 3. Then I have boom, boom, boom. Shoot, after that, I think I think Shaq would be up there, and then I would think Bill Russell's up there. That would round up my 5. I like Will, but Will was a man against giants, right? I mean, he was a giant against men. Like it wasn't like
man,
it was.
The guy some love, man.
It wasn't like normal to be a guy that big, man. He scored 100 points in a game, dude. I mean, come on.
They should have guarded him better.
Yeah, they couldn't guard a guy. Nobody was even close to his size. It's like it's kind of hard in those eras, right? Because, they weren't as big, right? They were just, look at Cousy and those guys. They were all little dudes. Right? Your average basketball player wasn't as big as they are now. I mean, you got Magic Johnson was 6'9" point guard. Oh, shoot, Magic's in my top 5. He's 6'9" point guard. And I like Magic because he played every position. I like LeBron because I think he's that great. But I also like LeBron. I like LeBron more now than I did in the beginning. I liked him in the beginning because I thought he was so young and I thought it was incredible and how many championships he went to. But I like him more now because he's the only player that has played this long and has still played at a high level. Not a lot of, like, Michael Jordan was terrible when he went to Charlotte, right? All those guys that stayed longer were terrible. LeBron's still a top player. I mean, he's putting up 27 points. He's leading his team. I mean, at 40-something years old, basketball's a hard sport. I mean, you got to, your back is hurt, your knees. I mean, you got to give him some credence in there.
How many championships has he won? 4, right?
4.
I think it's 4. How many?
And one was given. And one was given to him.
And how many?
And one was given to him, and one was in the bubble.
Yeah. How many oh Lord. How many championships has he lost? I think it's 6.
Yeah, he's been maybe more. I know he was in it 10 times, right? But I think he was in it a couple more times. He was like 10 times in a row. But he should have won more with Miami. I think he should have won one more instead of the 2 that he won with Miami. He should have won 1. And then he was
10 appearances and 4 championships. So
and then he gave one away.
The finals 10 times.
He's given away, and then he got a gift when Draymond got ejected because they were up 3-1. And Draymond got changed the whole game there. That's why they went after Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's another disaster. All right. This was good when we're talking about.
I'm still sticking with John Havlicek, man, to get you. That's right. My man with the low cut sneakers, John Havlicek.
That name wasn't even on my radar. I forgot. I mean, I know he was a good player, but that's you made my night. I think we should wrap. We're gonna wrap it up with that. John Havlicek, Mr. Joey Bag of Donuts. Can tell us how our fans can reach you and listen to your awesome show.
Donut Bag Podcast, Mondays at 7, talking Steelers. Training camp starts in a couple weeks. It's about to heat up.
Yeah.
We're in the slow period now, but it's about to heat up.
When is okay? So when is it? When's your show again? Say, Joe. I'm sorry about that.
Mondays at 8, actually. Mondays at 8.
Okay, hold on a second. NFL draft. Mondays at 8, and it's called the Donut Bag, right?
Yep.
All right, hold on. Let's see something. So the draft is next year, right? April 23rd, right? 2026 in Pittsburgh.
In
You know,
Pittsburgh.
Joe, I may make it out there. I got some family members up in Pittsburgh. I may fly out there. I haven't
Come
been
on
to
down.
Pittsburgh. Maybe
Come
we'll
on
see
down,
each other.
yeah.
We'll go. I wouldn't mind going to Pittsburgh watching the draft there.
I'll show you around. Sure.
Byron, you want to go to Pittsburgh?
Come on down.
Is it a winter time?
It's April. What's the weather like in April? Gotta be probably
Might
cold.
be warm, might be cold. 50-50.
Yeah. Listen to me. It's gotta be 50-50 because Memorial Weekend in Jersey was cold.
I don't do cold.
You do cold when you're in Philly. All right, Joe.
Yeah, I
thank you.
stay in the house.
You stay in the house, lighting it up. All right. Well, thank you. Don't forget to join our show every Thursday at 8 p.m. streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Please subscribe to Sportscast on all your channels: X, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. Leave a comment, a rating, help us out tremendously. I see we have quite a few fans watching. We're up to 137 fans. Thank you very much for watching. We get a lot of comments today. We got a few here. DJ Matt, what's up? Rodgers over Jack. Oh, here we go. Let's go. Let's answer that. Rodgers over Jackson or Mahomes, unless he pulls an AFC South pull. DJ Mac, thank you for commenting on our show. Listen, I apologize. I didn't see this earlier. Weren't those 5 games against arguably the best teams in the league? I'm trying to read this thing. Hold on. I don't know what
That's when we were talking about the Steelers.
Oh, whose?
When because we were talking about the Steelers, how they faded in the end, and they were against very good teams. I mean, the schedule was stacked against them, but still, but they
played bad. It goes
they
back
played
down.
bad.
It goes back down to play respectively and
hurt.
lose, right?
Yeah.
Who can get the franchise QB if they have another winning season? Who can or how can? How can? And we said that they got a lot of draft capital, DJ Maxx. So they do have the ability. They've been stacking it up for years. So they're in good shape. Do they use one of those picks to get a wide receiver as well? Well, first get the quarterback. If that was me, right, Joey? I mean, I've been answering the question, DJ Maxx. If it was me, get the quarterback. You have not had a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. So right now, The only thing is you need a quarterback. You know you're always going to have a great defense, so get the quarterback. Do they use those picks to get a wide receiver? Okay, DJ, Rodgers over Jackson, Allen, or Mahomes, unless he pulls an AFC South pull. What does that mean? Joe,
I'm not sure what the AFC South thing is, but
South.
Yeah,
pull.
I mean that's the question we talked about. Is like can Aaron Rodgers beat those quarterbacks?
I think he could beat Jackson. I think he could beat Allen. Mahomes, I have a problem with. What do you think, Byron? Or think I'll if they're in the playoffs, Byron, remember, because you keep every time I say anything, you go backwards. Okay. If they're in the playoffs, do you feel that Aaron Rodgers can beat Jackson? Lamar Jackson?
No. Nope.
This is pain. Do you
Yeah,
think he beat Allen?
No.
Okay. All right. Joey?
Anything's possible.
I think
Aaron Rodgers, this is his last ride, so he might go out in a bang. I
don't have no problem him being Jackson. I have no problem with him being Allen. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but it's I have a real question against Mahomes and Burrows, right? But I believe Aaron Rodgers has the ability to beat those guys. It won't surprise me if he wins that game. That's all I gotta say, right? Because both Allen and Jackson still have not made it to the Super Bowl or haven't won it, right? Neither one has made it to the Super Bowl, have they?
Nope.
Okay, they haven't even made it to the Super Bowl. So, and they've gotten farther last year, but they still have a problem, right? One, I don't know what happens to the Ravens because I think Harbaugh's a great coach, but you said it, Byron. They seem to change their game plan when they get to the playoffs. Yes or no?
Boy, did they. Yep.
Okay, so that's not on Jackson, but you're still going against Aaron Rodgers. Then you got Josh Allen. And then you got Josh Allen. He's a gunslinger, right? Sometimes he's super great, and sometimes he does dumb moves. Right? You don't know what you're going to get with Jackson. The best thing that Allen has to do is got to make sure he got running in the game plan. If he's running in the game plan, then the odds of him winning is a lot higher. But again, it's Buffalo, right? How many times have I said it over the last several years, Joey, that you've been on our show? How many times have I said, you don't know which Buffalo's going to come out? They're Super Bowl champion Buffaloes in the beginning of the season, blow it at the end of the season. They're good all year, blow it in the playoffs. They're okay, and then they start getting a hot streak, play a little better in the playoffs, and then lose. So, those are iffy teams. So, Joe, DJ, I just want to answer some of your questions. Who won a playoff game? Who's won a playoff game more recently? Between who? Jackson and Allen both have won playoff games last year, right? Wasn't last year the example of them winning? They went deeper in the playoffs games.
Yeah.
All right, so both of them. Don't sleep on Drake London.
Receiver for Atlanta. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's really good. Big receiver.
Okay. Well, so that means that's Bo Nix has got somebody there. All right, that's some good. Hey, thanks, DJ Matt. Come on our show and put in some comment. I hope we answered some of your questions. I really appreciate it. Gentlemen, you have a good night. God bless, and we will see you guys soon. Peace out.